Alright, buckle up because Dan to Dan Season 2, Episode 11 is absolutely wild. We're talking giant space kaiju monsters, secret powers, and the most hilariously chaotic teamwork you'll see all week. If you thought things would calm down after the last episode, oh man, you're so wrong. This one jumps in headfirst and never lets up. Let's break down everything that happened, dig into those crazy twists, and figure out what that ending is setting up. So, right from the start, we're thrown into pure panic and confusion. The sky's pitch black. There's a massive alien kaiju. Seriously, this thing is monster movie level terrifying, and everyone is scrambling to figure out if they're fighting a ghost or an alien or maybe both at the same time. Momo Is and the crew barely have time to process what's going on. The threat is right above them, and their questions get answered fast when giant, mysterious footprints start wrecking everything around. Don't expect anyone to have a plan. The group is completely freaked. How do we defeat this thing? Does it have a weak point? What even is this monster? And the answer, predictably, is a collective no clue. But just when the tension starts to build, we get those perfect Dan to Dan moments, comedy mixed right into the chaos. Ayaz lifts everyone's spirits, well, sort of by taking charge and reminding everyone, we need to regroup. Especially since people keep mysteriously vanishing in the confusion. And honestly, if you've watched previous episodes, you know when Ayaz takes charge, crazy stuff is about to happen. The kaiju attacks are relentless. The monster evolves. It starts as a sneaky, quick horror and morphs into a huge, brute force powerhouse. It's got melee attacks, close combat madness, and then suddenly it's firing off energy projectiles that everyone wonders, how is this even allowed? There's no time for strategy. Instead, the team is forced to improvise. Ayaz's leadership gets challenged, lots of squabbling. And yet, somehow, the team depends on each other to keep alive. There's also a running joke about the school uniforms, which is peak Dan to Dan. Can we not do this in our uniforms, please? Now, let's talk about the group dynamics. Momo Ayaz, ever the bold one, tries to coordinate attacks, suggesting honestly smart tactics like targeting the monster's legs. But the bickering doesn't stop. Call me leader? No, you're the idiot. They're trading insults in the middle of a literal life, or death kaiju battle, which is just the kind of energy that makes Dan to Dan so fun. Even when things seem desperate, their banter keeps them grounded and sometimes distracted. But things get even more frantic when one of the group gets knocked out cold and the monster disappears again, invisible now. Cue total paranoia. Nobody trusts what they see, dust clouds everywhere, and Ayaz's shouts barely bring order. There's a moment where they're all slamming into walls and into each other because the kaiju is just impossible to track, ratcheting up the tension as they realize this isn't a regular fight. I love how the show keeps you on edge, while never letting go of those awkward, silly moments like complaints about sweaty hand grabs and embarrassing rescues. Okuron steps up with his power moves, but here's the big twist. He's forced to use his max energy form. Twice. That's a huge deal because it means he can't transform anymore, leaving him and the team exposed as the monster regroups. The realization kicks in hard, they're outmatched. And quick retreat is the only option. The visuals are nuts here, with electricity crackling, close escapes under power lines, and desperate runs across rooftops. Inside IS's home, things get even wilder. There's some play, acting with members faking unconsciousness to dodge responsibility, yes. Seriously, during an alien invasion, more banter about leadership, and then a surprise appearance from Evil Eye, a character who's only supposed to fight on specific terms. The rules here are strict, no breaking promises, so they're stuck without a major powerhouse. Plus, Seiko isn't home. She's off filming a TV show in another prefecture, so there's nobody to back them up except IS and the gang. Now, here's where things turn truly sci-fi and wacky. AS notices that part of the house is glowing, and they realize the whole building is coated in nanoskin, a kind of high-density nanotech that can reshape itself based on brain signals. Seriously cool concept, and classic Dan weirdness. The team figures if they use the nanoskin, they might be able to create a weapon or trap strong enough to beat the monstrous kaiju. Ocaron and the others start trying to imagine something massive, and the nanoskin starts reconfiguring the entire house. But, of course, teamwork makes things crazier, not smoother. IS and Shirotori keep distracting each other by bumping into walls or pretty much shoving each other, which nearly squashes them when the walls start folding in. Just when it looks like everything's about to go wrong, Kinta Sakata steps in claiming he's a sci-fi genius, ready to imagine the perfect solution. He taps into his love for science fiction, and suddenly, thanks to a random thought about something big, the group ends up conjuring a gigantic Bodhisattva Kinta, a massive robot inspired by Buddha and anime tropes. It's not what anyone expected, but honestly, in Dan to Dan, it totally fits. And of course, when the robot comes to life, it's pure chaos. There are Westruck riding inside and shouting with excitement while desperately trying to figure out who's in control. The kaiju attacks again, and now it's Space Kaiju Viz. Giant robot. A showdown straight out of classic mecha anime. The robot, named Bodhisattva Kinta the Great, Zeta version. Thank you, Kinta. Is powered by the team's sheer imagination and survival instinct. The episode wraps up right as the monster and robot face off, with everyone's nerves and hopes riding on the fight. The characters are nearly overwhelmed, but somehow pull together, their personalities clashing and blending until actual teamwork happens. There are underlying hints about real feelings, a quick, awkward exchange about, "Are you in love?" pops into the chaos, hinting at the simmering relationships and tension beneath all these alien battles. Looking at the ending, it's clear the show is gearing up for the next big clash. Space Kaiju versus the imagination-fueled mega robot. The resolution is wide open, leaving us with plenty of questions. Will the nanoskin house robot hold out? Will the monster evolve again? Can Okarun and IS's bond guide the group to victory? All these loose threads get tangled in classic cliffhanger style, practically begging you to check out the next episode. All in all, Episode 11 brilliantly mixes comedy, horror, sci-fi, and raw action. The characters stay true to themselves, the twists keep coming, and the jokes never let up. If you love unpredictable battles and wild transformations, this episode delivers. Alright, that's the full scoop on Dan Season 2 Episode 11. Who do you think will win the next showdown, kaiju or robot? What would you imagine with nanoskin powers? Let me know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to hit like, share with your fellow anime fans, and subscribe for more deep dive recaps. See you next time.